Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, May 30th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. If you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Monday, May 30th. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. First up, we see a doubleheader between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Now, for Game 1, we should see Aaron Ashby and Drew Smyly as the starters. But in Game 2, it's not so clear who we're going to see on the mound. Probably some bullpen games from both clubs. Now, in Game 1, I do like the under in this one. You know, Drew Smyly hasn't had the best season for Chicago. 4.08 ERA isn't too bad, though. And the thing that I like about his game is that he keeps the ball in the yard. He's facing a Brewers lineup that is very powerful, but more so against right-handed pitching. Against righties, they're one of the more powerful lineups in baseball. But against lefties, this season, they're in the 20s in team OPS against left-handed pitching, and they're ranked 14th in isolated power against left-handed pitching. So I do think the Brewers' bats struggle a little bit in this spot. On the other side, Aaron Ashby has been really strong for the Brewers. 10.332 Ks per nine, a 2.91 ERA. He has had some trouble with the walks at times, but I'm not too concerned about it in this particular start against a pretty weak Cubs lineup. I'm going to take the under in Game 1, and then in Game 2, I think the Brewers have the stronger bullpen and lineup as well. So I do lean towards them in Game 2 if this is a bullpen game, but not rushing to bet either of these contests. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Detroit Tigers. Dylan Bundy and Bo Brisky are your projected starters. Now, for this game, I do think the Twins' offense is in a better spot than Detroit's. We know the Tigers' offense has struggled all season long, especially against right-handed pitching. Tigers are ranked 29th in baseball in team OPS against righties and 30th, dead last, in isolated power against righties. And they're facing Dylan Bundy here, who I do think is pitching well this year. A 4.54 ERA, but a 3.67 xFIP. He's striking out batters. He's limiting walks. The home run ball has been a little bit of an issue at times for him, but against a really weak Tigers lineup, I'm not too concerned about him in this spot. And Bo Brisky is a guy I cannot back in this game. A 5.04 ERA, but an even worse 6.15 FIP. The strikeout numbers are really low, the walks are a little bit of an issue, and the home run ball has really hurt him. 2.08 home runs per nine this season, going up against a Twins lineup that's been one of the best in baseball in the last few weeks against right-handed pitching. I'm going to take the Twins here on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Nick Martinez and Packy Naughton are your projected starters. And I do like both offenses in this spot. I'm going to take the over here. The Padres are going to be facing a lefty in Naughton. He's not going to pitch too deep into this ball game. It's going to be more of a bullpen game for St. Louis. But A, I can't really trust Naughton, and B, I can't really trust the Cardinals bullpen. Against lefties, the Padres have had more success offensively than against righties. I do think San Diego gets on the board early here. I think that's why they're the favorites in this game. On the other side, although the Cardinals hit lefties better than righties, Nick Martinez is a guy that has kind of been tricky for me. I like to see the strikeout stuff that he has at 9.3 Ks per nine, but the home runs and walks still concern me. He gives up a lot of hard contact. And against the Cardinals lineup that, sure, struggled quite a bit on Sunday, but has been strong lately, even against right-handed pitching, I do think we're going to see some runs on the board for St. Louis early in this spot as well. I'm going to take the over here in San Diego, St. Louis. It should be a really fun series to watch as well. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, we don't have an official lineup for this game quite yet, so we're going to have to wait and see who the official starting pitchers are. But right now, the probable starters are Logan Webb and Kyle Gibson. I think both guys are pitching well in 2022. I'd like to see the strikeout numbers rise for Logan Webb, but for the most part, both guys having solid campaigns this season. And I don't think this game's going to really come down to who the better starter is. I think it's going to be kind of a bullpen game, a game that could be decided late. And both teams have had their issues with the bullpens this season. Philadelphia more notoriously, as they've had a lot of blown leads, but even the Giants bullpen is not really trustworthy right now. So this is not a game that I'm going to be rushing to play, a game I'm staying away from altogether. But if I had to choose a side, I do think Gibson is the stronger starter. I think the Phillies have the slightly better bullpen, slightly better lineup, and we're talking slightly, and they are at home here. And I wasn't impressed with the Giants this weekend in Cincinnati. I'm going to take the Phillies here in a small lean. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Oakland Athletics. Framber Valdez and Paul Blackburn are your projected starters. Now, Paul Blackburn has been the sharpest starter for the Athletics this season, and although I do think he'll pitch well enough in this spot to at least keep this game close, the Oakland A's offense has just not done much at all recently. Especially at home, I should say, they are well below 500 at home. They're just not getting any run support for their starters. The bullpen has also struggled down the stretch in games. And Framber Valdez is pitching too well right now for me to take a shot with the dog in this spot. You know, Valdez is not a strikeout guy, but he's going to force a lot of ground ball outs. 65.8% of his outs this season are ground ball, and that's really kind of on the low end in terms of his career numbers. The Oakland A's offense is just really unimpressive and uninspiring, so I'm going to continue to fade them here at home. I'm going to take the Astros here. I think they do just enough offensively to win this game on the road. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Colorado Rockies. Ryan Feltner and Pablo Lopez are your projected starters. Now, Pablo Lopez did have a rough outing last time against the Tampa Bay Rays, but I do think he pitches well here. It is a tough location to pitch at Coors Field, but Lopez is the far better starter in this matchup. 9.51 Ks per nine, limiting walks to 1.87. He's also limited of a lot of hard contact and home runs this season. So a 2.04 ERA, 2.87 xFIP. He's been a lot better, and Ryan Feltner, not a guy that has had a lot of work this season, but in the 10 innings that he has pitched in, he's given up 10 hits, 6 earned runs, a home run as well, 4 walks this season. So, the Marlins lineup has hit righties really well this year, believe it or not, although they're not a really high-scoring team, their offense is still number 5 in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching, and this could be a really good spot for this offense to break out. At Coors Field, we've seen it plenty of times before with road teams traveling to Colorado. I like the Marlins here on the money line. In our next game, we see the Royals taking on the Guardians. Jonathan Heasley and Zach Plesac are your starters. Now, I do think the Guardians are going to have a strong offensive performance in this game. They're number 6 in baseball in team OPS against right-handed pitching, and they're facing Jonathan Heasley, a righty that I do think has a lot of regression in his game, even though he's already struggling to begin with. He's allowing home runs. He's allowing a ton of walks. He's allowed 4 walks, 3 walks, and 6 walks in his first 3 outings this season. And those are only outings that have lasted 5 innings or less. Strikeouts haven't been there either for him, and I do think he's in trouble, but I cannot lay that kind of price with the Guardians with Zach Plesac on the mound, another starter that I think has a ton of regression in his game. The Royals' bats have looked a lot stronger in the last 2 weeks than they did in the beginning of the season. They're actually in the top 10 in baseball in team OPS against righties in the last 2 weeks, so I do think both teams get on the board early and often. I'm going to take the over in the Royals-Guardians. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox hosting the Baltimore Orioles. Rich Hill and Tyler Wells are your starters for this one. Now, last season, I really liked taking the Orioles as an underdog when they were facing left-handed starters. They were really solid. They had really solid numbers as a team offensively against lefties, but this year has not been the case. It's been the total opposite. They're ranked 29th in baseball in team OPS against lefties, the Orioles are, and they are 27th in isolated power against lefties. Rich Hill, you know what we're going to get for him. He's going to go out there, give us some innings. Last outing, 5 innings, 2 earned runs allowed. The previous outing to that one wasn't a sharp one, but he faced these Orioles back on April 29th and gave the Red Sox 4 innings, a shutout ball, only 1 hit allowed with 4 strikeouts, and that was a 3-1 Boston win. And I really like the way the Red Sox are playing as of late. We know they crushed the Orioles on Sunday in that 12-2 final score. I don't think this game's going to get that ugly, but I do like the Red Sox in this spot. Give me them on the money line. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see David Peterson and Eric Fedde as the starters in this one. And to me, this game is all on value. I think the Nationals are worth a chance. I think they're worth a shot here, getting the plus money on the money line. Eric Fedde, I still think is a below-average starting pitcher. And we know the Nationals are a below-average team offensively, but facing David Peterson, a starter that has a really good ERA on paper, but a guy that I do think is going to regress quite a bit as we carry on this season, I think it's a good idea to take the plus money while we can. Peterson had a rough year last year with the Mets, a 5.54 ERA, and that was when his strikeout numbers were pretty good at 9.32 Ks per nine. This year, his strikeout numbers are down from that last year, 7.92 Ks per nine. The walks have also been an issue at times. He gets behind in the count very, very often, and that's the reason why his 2.16 ERA looks good, but a 3.87 xFIP, much, much higher. The Nationals, at the start of the season, struggled against left-handed pitching, but we saw this weekend they got to Austin Gomber and they got to Kyle Freeland, so I'm not too worried about them facing a lefty in this spot. I'm going to take the Nationals in the plus money here as a nice value play. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Texas Rangers. Drew Rasmussen and Glenn Otto are your starters here. Now, I really like the way the Rangers are playing as of late, but this is not the best spot, in my opinion, for them. Later on in this series, we might get a lot of value with Texas, but with Glenn Otto on the mound, a guy that I have faded quite a bit this season, a guy 25 strikeouts and 15 walks, so not a very good strikeout to walk ratio, and only 29 innings of work this season with 4 home runs allowed. Also something that worries me. We saw the Tampa Bay Rays tighten it up in the last few games of that series with the Yankees. They lost the first 2 games. They looked completely uninspiring in those first 2. They bounced back. They beat Garrett Cole. And then on Sunday, Shane McClanahan pitched well, and the Rays got the win 4-2. I think they carry that momentum on the road in this spot. This is going to be a very tight series, in my opinion, a very fun one to watch. But I'm going to take the Rays here on the money line in Game 1. In our next game, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Spencer Strider and Zach Gallen are your projected starters. Now, we shouldn't see Spencer Strider pitch too deep into this game for Atlanta. He's been mostly featured out of the bullpen, maybe 1 to 3 innings at the most for Strider. He's got really good velocity on his pitches, but he also means he can get hit pretty hard. He hasn't given up a home run yet this year, but against the Diamondbacks lineup that's been really, really powerful against right-handed pitching this season, I do think Strider could give up a long ball in this spot. Diamondbacks are ranked 4th in baseball in isolated power against right-handed pitching. And with Zach Gallen on the mound, their sharpest option on the mound in the rotation, I do think the Diamondbacks earn a win in this game. I think it's going to be tough for them the rest of this series, but this is the spot where they can grab a W. And we see the books are respecting the Diamondbacks and Gallen in this spot. This is, they're facing the defending world champions, but it's a pick 'em right now at minus 110 apiece. I think that says something. Give me the Diamondbacks here on the money line in Game 1. And in our final game of the night, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Zach Thompson and Walker Buehler are your projected starters. Now, there's a reason why the Dodgers are big time favorites in this spot. Not only are they at home, not only are they facing a right-handed pitcher, which they've dominated against righties this season, they also have a big-time pitching mismatch here. Zach Thompson was pitching pretty well for the Pirates in his last few starts, but last time out, got hit really hard against the Rockies, and that was at home in Pittsburgh, so we don't usually see the Rockies do too much offensively on the road, but they got to Thompson for 7 hits, 4 runs, and 1 home run as well. And against the Dodgers, a team that plays so well at home, 15-5 at home this season, I think the Buccos are in trouble. Against Walker Buehler, 6-1 with a 2.91 ERA. Pirates lineup has really struggled this weekend and really this entire season. I'm going to take the Dodgers here on the run line, but not a lot of value going around in this game. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday, May 30th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.